All right, welcome to the Creation to Cash Flow podcast. On this podcast, we discuss strategies to maximize your creativity and help you achieve financial freedom. Hi, Michelle.
Hello, Nick.
How's it going?
It's great. It's so weird. You were here the last time we recorded one of these. You were here in LA with me. Now you're all the way back across the country.
Yes, it's pretty crazy that you could do that. The world is like that was not an option that not too many years ago. Like you would not be able to just be like, "Oh yeah, I'm in LA for 2 weeks and I'm back in New Jersey and still communicating with you." Pretty crazy.
Cool world we live in. Cool decade that we live in.
Yes. There's never been a better time to make money online, take good care of yourself, download great information and conversations into your brain. So, shall we dive in?
Let's do it.
Warning for our listeners, I don't feel super hot. So, if I sound a little hoarse, it's only because I am. Today, we are going to talk about trying new things, but not just like in a corny way, like, oh, try new things, it's good for you. Like, we're going to really kind of dive deep into what kind of things you should be trying and how, for us, like picking up new things, activities, spending time around new people, like how these things have truly like 10x where we're at in life and how you guys can do the same. Not just like, oh, go to a restaurant and order something you haven't because now you're cultured. Like, not like that. What's the last new thing you tried, Michelle?
What a loaded question. I don't even know where to begin. I try new things. I feel like every hour I'm doing something new.
What's the last new thing you tried that scared you, where you felt like in your body, like, this is gonna be a little scary.
Again, I feel like that's like yesterday I tried a different impediment in acting class, but a different thing that I tried recently, because I feel like I'm always trying different things, is actually getting in the Pacific Ocean and surfing in the Pacific Ocean. Nick was there, and I think that was like the biggest thing that I got back into slash tried in this ocean for the first time. I've done a lot of things since that time last week or however long ago that was, but that's like one of the biggest things because I've been wanting to do that for a long time.
That was definitely the one I was trying to extract from you. You're right, because I feel like we do new and exciting and scary things all the time, but boy, that was really like a stepping out of the comfort zone moment, especially if you don't typically like swim or do things like that, because you get beat up when you go surfing. And that's one of the things we're going to touch on is that when it comes to trying new things, picking something where you're going to get beat up a little bit, whether that's like physically or emotionally or psychologically, I feel like those are the things that have all of the benefits. Tell us about your surfing experience.
Well, just for our listeners who don't know, so I've surfed a couple times in Florida before, and it was a very low key. Like it was one of those things where like I was taught not as well as I was taught here at the Venice one that we went to, but I was taught and then I rode a couple waves and it was like cool. Here was a little bit different. It was way more intense. The waves were so intense. It was cold, so I was in a wetsuit. In Florida, I was not in a wetsuit. And I did a lot of prep work before I got in the water. Will is the guy that trained me and Nick, but Nick didn't really need much training. But Will is his name. Venice Beach Surf Club, right? Shout out to him. Is that what it's called? Yeah, shout out to Will. We went in the sand. He like drew some things. He talked to me about white caps. And then he was like, here's what you're going to do. Let me see your pop up. And then he said, let me see your placement. He showed me a couple things. We got in the water. The very first wave I did, I got on the board and I rode it all the way to shore. And I was like, cool, this is easy. And I tried to repeat that. And then the second time, I ate shit. I went nose deep, like just straight into the water. And it was very, like, yes, I got one good one. And then I'd fail 3 times. And then I'd get back up and I wanted to get another one and then fail again. And then I'd get back up. But it was so fun because it's just humbling. And before we got in the water, I don't know if this is the right time to bring this up. Before we got in the water, I told Nick, I said, my goal for today is to at least get in the water with the surfboard. And Nick was like, "What? That's like I think we can shoot bigger than that. I think we can make a goal that's more attainable than that. Like that's obviously like that's not a big enough goal." Cuz you believe in me and I know I could do more than that. But I was like, "I've just never been in the Pacific Ocean. It's freezing." Like for me to even get in this ocean is a huge step for me that I want to accomplish. And I think I do that with a lot of my stuff in life. I have this very like, I know I'm capable of a lot, but when I'm a beginner, I'm like, I'm just going to set a goal so I know I'll achieve it and gain confidence. So, yeah, that was a long winded answer.
No, I think it was good. It's setting up all of the proper conversations we're going to have. Also, it's so funny that that was your first time getting in the Pacific Ocean because I am such a beach boy that on like my fifth or sixth day there, like we were like, we should go in the ocean and surf. Everywhere I go, like I want to get in a body of water. I feel like it's such a good way to tap in. You're right, though. It is cold over there. I really wouldn't have expected that. I mean, it's still warmer than it is in New Jersey right now in the water, I guess, but it wasn't warm. And it was definitely my first time wearing a wetsuit. And boy, I got humbled that first day that we went. The waves were pretty big and macho Nick was like, I am going to go all the way out and try and catch the biggest waves. They're called face waves, where like it's just like what you would imagine someone surfing on if you were to look at a video of like a professional surfer, where like the wave is like kind of breaking and they're trying to ride away from where it's falling over on top of them. My goal was to catch one of those and like turn down it and I don't know, I'll get barreled pretty much, like be like in the eye of it. It's called getting barreled. And instead I just got fucking wrecked over and over and over again. It was way too rough for the surf skills that I have. I'm getting better. I was not ready for this day. And honestly, it was so great. Even though it hurt my confidence so much, I love doing new things like that hurt my confidence because I never quit in those low moments. And that's the important part about trying new things is like do something that's going to humble you so much and then don't quit. Just go do it again. So then a few days later we went out. It wasn't as bad of a day. I got more of a lesson from Will like Michelle was getting. And like we started catching bigger waves and I improved my form and all these things happened. So like I got my confidence totally destroyed, didn't quit, kept going, and truly like that alone, if you can just do that, you'll be so successful in life and everything you do.
Yeah, and it's doing that over and over. Like, for example, you had a theory of like, oh, maybe this is what I'm doing wrong. But until there was an expert that was like, hey, if you arch your back a little bit more, because he saw you not do that before, you were then able to change that for the future. And it's the same thing when it comes to your business or making content. Like, you make mistakes or you post a video, you can't get better until you get on the surfboard and ride a wave. You can't get better until you post the video. You can't get better until you write that book. Like, there are things that you have to do in order to grow and to be humbled and to grow in your confidence and your skill set. And it's almost like the falling on your face, metaphorically and literally, is required. That's what you have to do. And so many people are afraid to do that. So they don't even begin, or they fall on their face and they don't keep going. And it's like, you cannot quit. That is so, it needs to be normalized because that is the process.
And it totally sums up pretty much everything we've ever done in business. Like literally every single thing I have ever tried to make money online, I promise I got pummeled by the waves first and I got humbled over and over and over and over a million times. I've worked individually one on one with so many people that whether they're coaching me or I'm coaching them, it's just part of the process. Like to be good at anything, you just have to get wrecked and then try again. So it was so much fun. Like this was like the highlight of my trip. I don't know, we did a lot of cool stuff, but it was one of because it was more like a self-development victory, like getting crushed that one day and then an opportunity came up to get back out again. Like I did not want to end on that note because that's when it feels like a failure. But like I knew I was leaving soon. Time was tight. Shout out to Will. He moved some stuff around and we got to go again. And I mean, I got pummeled a couple of times, but overall, like just getting out there a second, third, fourth, 50th time after you fail, that's all it takes.
Yeah, and it's also like when to know when you need to maybe like, okay, I learned some stuff, I fell on my face, let me take a step back, let me like take a break. Like for example, one of the times we went out there, Nick was surfing and I wasn't. I was sitting on the beach working and I decided not to go out there cuz I felt in my body. I don't think I need to physically go out there, but I actually learned so much just from watching Nick. So it's almost like you need to show up, you need to not quit, you need to fall and fail, and sometimes you just need to observe and marinate in the knowledge and look at others, take a step back, but you're still continuously learning. And I know I can have access to Will a lot more because I live here and you don't live here yet. I'm saying yet as if that's going to be a thing. It's possible. Anything's
It's
possible.
pretty possible. It was pretty fantastic.
I'm so happy to hear that. But I'm glad that I didn't push myself because then if you need to slow down and that's your timeline to slow down and take a step back to observe, that's okay too. It's like you can try new things. There's no timeline on when your new thing needs to become something you're now an expert at. That is all dependent upon each individual person.
I almost said it's true.
I knew you were going to be like, it's true.
I almost said it's true because it is. It is true. And I also really like what you did the first day. And you set such a goal. Like, you just took all the pressure off yourself. Like, I put all the pressure on myself. I did the exact opposite. You took all the pressure off of yourself. And who ended up having a more successful day? I would definitely argue that you did. I set way too big of a goal. And also, this is going to happen. Like, this is the beauty in trying new things, is like figuring out, like, did I bite off more than I could chew? Did I set a good goal that was challenging, or did I like not even, did I set the bar too low? So, I mean, I applaud you for the way you set goals because I put all the pressure on myself and ended up not being, I don't want to say it wasn't an enjoyable day. I had so much fun, but in terms of the goal, I felt like I left and didn't achieve the goal the first day because I didn't. It wasn't until we got out again that I was able to achieve the goal.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know, when it's something new, even to this day, I create content full time. That's my career. And I still don't put so much pressure on the individual post and how it performs. I just don't do that because you know what? I like to be confident and happy. And the less the my confidence comes from achieving goals that I set. So if I set goals, like yes, I have really big goals and I totally know that those are important, but if there's like a timeline attached to it or an outcome I can't control attached to the goal, I try to purposefully not bite off more than I can chew, especially as a beginner, because I'm so not confident, because confidence comes from experience. And so it's like I don't put that pressure on myself on purpose. I set my goal to be lesser than what I know I can do so that I do achieve it and then I'm more confident and then I'm like learning and I'm not beating myself up for something that honestly sometimes it's just not even in our control how certain goals are met or not.
Yeah, it's genius the way that you give yourself the grace to make those mistakes. I forget if it was Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg. They both talk about this a lot, but I forget who this exact quote was from. But they both say things all the time about how important like being a beginner is. And I've talked about this before in maybe February when I bought a guitar and I was like, I'm just kind of doing this to humble myself. And I posted all of it online. The fact that I could like barely, I still don't even know what the strings are, to be honest with you. But I could play a couple good songs now. Like my confidence is definitely getting there. But just the more things that you can do that humble you, the more successful you will be as an individual. Like I do it with the Spanish lessons I take. Spanish is so hard. I am fully trying to learn a new language. Like I would be in Michelle's penthouse at 6 in the morning doing Spanish lessons with my tutor Alexandra, and I just love it. Any chance I can get to do a new activity and get humbled and stick with it for many, many, many months, if not years, if not forever, oh my God, like that is exactly how I have turned out to be who I am today. And that's exactly how I also know that a year from now, I will be like a 10x version of myself just because I keep trying new things, getting humbled, and just staying a beginner, learning from everyone.
Yeah, I think it's also really pleasant being around people who aren't afraid to be beginners because they're humble. They're not so deep within their expertise that they have this ego that is just unpenetrable. Is that a word?
I think it's impenetrable.
Whatever that word is, that. And it's like, even for like older people, for example, who are quote unquote stuck in their ways that people like to say, I love when people aren't like that because you can have a strong stance on something, but whenever you're willing to listen and learn and be interested in something that you don't currently know about. It is so nice to be around those people. And those are the people I look up to the most. Like, you can be an expert in what you do, but you should still respect and like have interest in what other people are doing or learning. Like, for example, there was a friend was at my house last night and he's like a finance guru. He is like really high up in his company. He's an amazing person. He knows everything there is to know about finances and stocks and investing. I introduced him to TikTok Shop. He had no idea about TikTok Shop. And he's over here asking me all these questions and wanting to learn about it. And I suddenly felt like an expert when the hour before I had no idea what he was talking about when he was talking about mortgages and all these things. I was like, what? But as soon as it switched, like he's not so knowledgeable that he's not wanting to know, oh, what's this TikTok shop thing? Oh, what's this? And it was like the best conversation because I was like, for once I felt like, oh, I'm an expert in something. Like, you want to learn about this and I was wanting to learn about your stuff. And so it's just like, be that kind of person in your business because you can learn something from everyone around you. That's why they're in your lives. Like, you cross paths with people for a reason.
I love that you just brought up that example because Will literally said something so similar about both of us. I don't know if you heard him say this, but he was like, you guys, meaning me and you, are extremely coachable.
Mm,
Like, I so respect the way you guys can accept feedback. And that's exactly like the same example you just said. Like, you were able to be like, look, this is a subject I know nothing about. Teach me. What do I need to know? And asking good questions and, trying not to interrupt the person too much. Like, just being coachable, just being able to listen, fail, listen to feedback, fail, listen to feedback, fail until it works.
yeah. Humbleness and humility are just such attractive traits. Not in like a attractive, but you know what I mean? Like, you attract people to you. You're charismatic when you're humble about things. Like, people want to be around you. People want to invest in you. People want to learn from you and be influenced by you because it's a great personality trait that I think everybody should have. We should all be humble. And I think that putting yourself in positions where you're not the smartest person in the room and you can be forced to be humble by falling off the surfboard or saying the word in Spanish completely wrong. Like, we as humans have the opportunity to consistently seek out these places and things and like just activities that will humble us because we need to be humbled. And I think that for many years, like years ago, I knew everything. I thought I knew everything. Oh my God, I definitely didn't know everything. I thought I knew everything about like marketing. And I needed to be humbled in so many ways. Like, I want to consistently seek that out because that feeling of not needing to be perfect at everything is also super satisfying.
I was the same exact way. Like, talk to 18 or 19-year-old me, I promise I knew everything. Or at least I thought, like you said. Totally not even close to the case. And even now I have to really I think right now the reason that I am so in tune with being a beginner and being coachable is because I am a coach and you are too. And we coach not just hundreds, but thousands of people. We coach and we help and we teach, and I don't ever want to come across to them as a know-it-all. I don't ever want to come across like I'm not still actively out there learning. I don't ever want to come across like there aren't things that I'm not a beginner at. So I make sure to be a beginner at so many things as possible. Another good example of it. I did so as I'm unpacking this 2 weeks that I was living with you. really did quite a lot of inner work, I guess, because me and Michelle's husband, Evan, we would go lift at 7 or 8 in the morning pretty much every day, like 6 out of 7 days of the week. And we would each take turns leading the workout. And we have two completely different body types and completely different workout styles. So we were humbling each other with our workouts. Like I would put Evan through like my upper back day, and then he's like all sorts of fucked up. And then we would do his leg day. And mind you, Evan is about 6'5", 40 pounds heavier than me, probably all muscle. He's gonna love that when he's watching this back. But um, and we're squatting on the hack squat machine. We're squatting like over 300 pounds, and I'm like, this is humbling for sure. Like he's just repping it out, and I'm fighting to move this weight. But like, I just love any chance I can get to just get wrecked and then keep going and never ever give up on things. It is how I grow as a person, and it is why I love cold plunging, because cold plunging fucking sucks and I actually hate it, but it will humble you every single day. There is not a day that goes by that it will not humble you to your thermostatic core.
I think that's what it's made for, right? Like it puts you in that state. That state you feel when you're humbled is like the same feeling that you get once you put yourself through that torture, literally, of the coldness. But it's like a great release in your brain of that chemical, whatever that chemical is. I don't know. I'm not an expert at it. I don't freaking know. But I know it's a chemical that's really good.
Yes, it is super good. Michelle is not a podiatrist, but I think it releases so many chemicals. But anyway, the part that I also love is that when I started posting content online and I decided I wanted to be a different person, I started making cold plunge videos. And I did not have a nice fancy cold plunge. I would walk downstairs, fill a bowl with ice, walk back up, pour it in my bathtub, walk back down, fill the bowl with ice. This was at 5 in the morning before I would have to go to my 9 to 5, sometimes 6 in the morning, sometimes 7, whenever I could do it. And I would just humble myself in the cold water and just retrain and reprogram my brain and my way of thinking. And oh my goodness, that set the perfect foundation for me to just never give up at content creation, never give up at being a coach, never give up at sales, never give up at email marketing, and all of the things that will challenge you if you're trying to make money online.
Yeah, I love all of that. I know I keep thinking of so many examples and scenarios as you're talking, but I think it's just so important that no matter what that thing is that you want to do, just never think you know everything, and also just do it to show yourself that you are always going to be a learner and willing to grow. Because when you're not growing, you're decaying. And we desire for everyone listening to this to be a growing person always. Like we can always grow. We're never going to be perfect. We're not supposed to be. That would be so freaking boring, honestly. So I think it's just like find the thing that's going to help you grow and don't stop. Like there are times when I'm like, oh, I'm good, and I start to feel like I'm very sensitive now to when I feel like I'm like stagnant, but I start to feel this like ick. It's like an ick. I don't know how to describe it, but I feel like I'm not growing. And as soon as I turn on like an audiobook or a podcast from Robin Sharma or something, someone that it's a mindset thing, this podcast, Creation to Cash Flow, I immediately get out of that and I'm like, oh no, I'm growing. Even listening to this is you growing. Like this is growth because you're choosing this over all the other things you could be doing. So it's like when you choose an activity or doing something new, it's it's attracting things to you that are in a higher frequency, right? So when I think I'm good and I don't need to read or listen to a podcast or anything, like that's when I start to feel bad and I start to have like different mindsets that aren't as abundant. And so it's like, don't think you know everything enough to where you don't have to read books or listen to podcasts either. That's just as important.
With that said, perfect time. Make sure you're subscribed to this show. We understand that you're probably not going to catch every episode. You might not listen to every episode. Hopefully you do, but just make sure you're subscribed so you just get that notification on your phone. And at least it doesn't take anything from you, but then the effort is being made to get these downloads and do that reprogramming yourself. Because, like you said, Michelle, listening to podcasts also totally humbles and reprograms the right ones. Very important distinction to make. But when you're listening to the right podcasts that are inspiring you and just allowing you to become the best version of yourself, like that's just getting downloaded, just like it's your own thought. And you start to reprogram the way that you think. I go back and listen to some of our episodes because I'm like, I just want to, like, I was saying those things, but I want to also re download them. Like, I want to re emphasize them. And that's exactly one, why we do the show. And two, why I would re listen to my own podcast is because whatever it takes to just keep integrating these lessons, I will always, always do. Because if you're not growing, you're just dying. And I don't know. Everything always leads back to like mortality for me. Like, I know I'm not going to live forever. So I want to play guitar. I want to learn Spanish. I want to surf. I want to do martial arts. I want to do workouts that are harder than my body needs. Like, I want to just do everything and be wealthy and be happy. And it starts with your mindset. So if you guys are loving this podcast, if you guys enjoy these weekly episodes, like, give us that review, subscribe, just do your part. We will do our part. We will keep making this content for you guys until one of us dies. And
Oh god.
so that's all we ask.
Oh my, we had to hit 999 episodes so we can swim with sharks.
Yes, that is the running thing that we are going to do if you guys are not aware. This is episode 83. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that in 916 episodes. You would not want to miss that.
Oh
It's
my
coming
god.
right up. It's coming very quick. Okay, here's another one. Just thought of it. Martial arts. Oh my goodness. Everyone should try a martial arts class of some kind. I've said this before. It is the perfect way to like humble you, but put you in a community of people that are like, it's not as scary as you think. Like, we're not all here to hurt each other. Like, we're here to build our confidence. We're here to train. We're here to sweat, listen to good music, and you become very close with people when you do martial arts. Like, it flips a switch in your brain. It's super primal. I love primal things, but like almost everyone I've ever met has like, oh yeah, I want to do like a boxing class or this or that, but most people don't. Let this be your sign to do it. Please, please, please. Your only assignments are like rate the show, subscribe, go try that martial arts class if you've been thinking about it. Go take a kickboxing class. Like, it's not like you're gonna get kicked in the head. You're just gonna kick a heavy bag. But oh my god, it is just one of those things where you get humbled, but you're surrounded by good people and coaches, and you just become in this mindset of like, I'm in a learning phase.
Yeah, it's like it just reminds me of my acting class. Like, I know we can't record in there, so people are always wondering like what the heck is the class like? But it's everything in my improv 2-year program is bringing you back to your primal instincts, your primal way of communicating, your primal way of thinking. And it's like, yeah, it's not as physical. I mean, yes, we have physical like things that we do, but it's like being surrounded by people, having a coach, having that humbleness, being like literally in the front of a classroom of 30 people for the first time doing improv, like dancing or singing, and you're not a dancer or singer. That is so humbling. And it just like builds your confidence in the weirdest way. It's like I'm doing something so vulnerable because I don't know what I'm doing that it like chips away at these like insecurities or this like lock that we put up, this guard we put up in life, and it opens you up for more ideas, more creativity, stuff like that. So I think you should always be in a class of some sort, be surrounded by like-minded people or just people that are having a collective goal of learning something. That is so powerful.
I love that you mentioned vulnerability. It's like the underlying theme of everything we're talking about. Like, it's so important to one, like, be coachable, two, sign up for the class, because I promise the hardest part is not being in that class that we're telling you to go do, it's signing up for it. And then also when you're there, just looking like a fool because you're new. It's so important to be vulnerable. Like, after our first of the 2 surf days at Venice Beach, I was telling the guy, Will, I was like, dude, honestly, I got bodied so bad out there. Like, I truly am scared. Like, I'm scared right now. My nervous system is all shook up. Like, I feel like I just lost all my confidence. It was like, dude, the fact that you even can recognize that, you're you're a million times better of a surfer than people that might be catching huge waves out there because you know your limits. And now we can work on that and we can fix that. And that was when we kind of set our game plan of like what to do next. And it's just so good to be vulnerable. It really is. Because if you have if you're like too much of a shell around you, you're not going to get anything from the class. You're not going to get anything from the coach. You're not going to get anything from the failures. You're going to get pissed off and you're not going to come back.
Yeah, and when you're defensive and you're rigid and you try to explain things, like the people who aren't that way can see what that is and we see it as an insecurity. Like that's what it is. You're trying to you have a defense mechanism to be that way. And I can see it now and I think I used to be very defensive like when I was younger or I was, like we said, we knew everything, right? Like we were like prideful. I had a lot of pride when I was younger, like a lot. And a big ego and I needed that to be chipped away. Like I had to have that chipped away. And it's like I thought that I would like came across as like this very confident smart person, but in reality when you're that way, when you're like rigid and you're sharp and defensive. The people that are healthy and healed and not that way just see through it. We see what it is. So you might as well see what it is too and choose to let yourself be seen in the vulnerable state, in the learning state. It's beautiful. I think it's so beautiful when people just open up and they're just transparent about what they're feeling or doing or anything. I'm like, that's what we're here for. We're not here to like judge one another. No one's better than one another. We're just at different phases of our learning journey. And there's nothing good or bad about that. It's just what it is.
That reminds me so much of when I first started doing jujitsu classes. I was so rigid, and the people that you like, it's called rolling. Like you roll with them because you're kind of rolling around, like throwing each other. And they would be like, dude, you gotta relax, man. Like you are so stiff. Like I know it sounds counterintuitive, but like you actually need to be a little more vulnerable and like let people make their move a little bit. Because if you're this like stiff and rigid, not only is that like increasing your chance of injury, but like you're just gonna burn out and you're not gonna stick with it. Whether that's like this class or just like this 5 minute timer that is going. So like you really do burn yourself out if you're not vulnerable and you don't get those things off your chest. Like it would have been very easy for me after our last surf sesh to just like the first one where I was like definitely scared and shook up. It would have been very easy for me not to tell our instructor like that vulnerable truth and just not do it again. Like that would have been so easy because it really does burn you out if you don't get it off your chest and have those vulnerable moments and be coachable. So like you got to take those classes and you got to tell your coaches like when you're upset, when you're frustrated, when you're scared, like and have them help you work through that and it will be the most empowering thing you've ever felt in your life.
Yeah.
We're getting humbled a little bit by our sourdough starter as well,
Oh God, I
Rosalinda.
forgot about Rosalinda. Oh, I need to feed her. Oh God, I'll feed her right after this.
My half of Rosalinda is doing pretty good. We're seeing some bubbles and things again, but like we're beginners in the sourdough space, and I know we're gonna get humbled and make some shitty bread. No big deal. We're not quitters either. So we're gonna fail, get better, fail, get better, fail, get better, and it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, sourdough starter is one of those things where it's like very hard to kill it, but when you kill it, you just start over again and it's fine and it's not a big deal.
Any other topics or anything, or maybe things you want to summarize today?
Don't discredit your capabilities just because you're not good at something right now. Because the only way you get better is by showing up, is by not quitting. And ask people who know what the F they're doing how to do things. Like Will, our surf instructor, I wouldn't ask him about Amazon influencers, but I would ask him about surfing. And that's okay, And he can come to me about Amazon if he wanted to. There's like this beautiful push and pull and tossing the ball and helping each other out in life that we have the opportunity to do because we are people who can speak and communicate. So don't be afraid to be seen. Yes, pick and choose who sees you vulnerable. Do it in a safe place, like a class of some sort, because you're all there for the same reason. And just keep doing things that will humble you because we never know everything. We're not supposed to. and it's going to make you grow a lot more in every area of your life. If you are, even if it's just like you're learning guitar, every area of your life you're going to get better. Even if that doesn't seem like that skill has anything to do with anything else, it does, because it's all part of a bigger personality and who you are as a person.
Nailed it. Especially the part about not discrediting yourself because you're new. Really important to just think about that, and take the pressure off of yourself. Just enjoy being new at things. Like if you take all that pressure off yourself and you're just vulnerable and okay with being bad at it, that's when things become fun. Like that's when it's fun and you become the kind of person that will try anything and always have a good time no matter what. And I want all of you listening to this to be that person that is always having a good time and is trying new things, because it will take you so far in your life journey and in your business journey and in trying to achieve your financial freedom. So, if you guys enjoyed this episode, you have homework assignments. Book that class, try something new, that thing that's been in the back of your mind and you've been like, I've been wanting to do that, I've been thinking about it. Do it. Book that thing, please. And then subscribe to the show and leave us a comment or a rating. Just do your part. We'll do our part if you do your part. That's all we ask of you guys. If you're looking for more ways to monetize your creativity and find financial freedom, check out the YouTube videos. You can watch this entire thing if you don't want to just listen to it. You can see us in person. You can find Michelle on Instagram and TikTok and everywhere else at Michelle JH. Michelle with two L's, then four E's, JH. And you can find me on Instagram and TikTok and everywhere else at Get Ahead with Nick. We love you guys. Thanks for listening or watching.